The body warm. Guys, how do you feel about your first polar push?
I feel proud and numb.
It was good.
Yeah.
We are on a little bit of a endorphin high now.
Ready?
Literally took my breath away. When I think back on 2023, so much of it feels like a blur. It's like I can't remember big chunks of it. I remember the good parts. I remember the month of February when I escaped seasonal depression in New York City, sublet my apartment, and traveled through Mexico and Guatemala.
I feel like a Ninja Turtle.
You do look like a Ninja Turtle. I remember some of my favorite people came to visit me in June. And I remember September by the CAMINO Portuguese with my mom. I'm so grateful for these moments, but so much of the rest of the year is a blur. In 2023, my therapist taught me the term dissociation, because apparently that's what I've been doing from time to time, unconsciously numbing myself when things get too overwhelming. Have you ever spaced out while driving because you were stressed about something and then you get home and can't remember all the driving you just did? This spacing out is the mildest form of dissociation. It's when an overload of stress pulls you out of the present moment, away from your emotions, and often out of your body. My whole life, I've always leaned headfirst into feeling everything deeply, willingly. I've always honored extreme feelings, both good and bad, because they made me feel alive. I attribute this to a combination of my upbringing with two very passionate, emotional parents and my education. I spent all my school years studying the novels and journals of tortured writers who used their emotions to make great art. Because of this, I found heartbreak kind of thrilling and sadness inspiring. I even became addicted to extreme feelings in my early 20s and did reckless things like skydive whenever I got the chance, and couch surf with strangers, and hitchhike across Europe in a car with Polish guys and their open bottles of vodka, all in the pursuit of extreme feelings. So this numbing is pretty new to me. I didn't do it when my dad died in 2017 or the entire year of 2020. I remember those times all too well because my emotions were at all-time highs. There was no avoiding them, no matter how hard I tried. And those emotions drove me into action. After my dad died, I left New York, I road tripped the US, I came back to New York, and I walked the Camino Frances for the first time. And in 2020, I lost all my work, I went through a big breakup, I protested and volunteered, I made new friends, and was outside every day. I didn't dissociate because I was active and present. The numbing started for me that first COVID winter, January 2021, and has been happening on and off ever since. That's when we were all really stuck at home. Everything was closed, it was too cold to go outside, everyone in the city was sick, I had no money, no work, no purpose, and was living alone for the first time in my life without the ability to see friends, or family, or travel, or do anything. There was no way to differentiate the days for a very long time, unable to motivate myself into memorable action. So instead, I sought out every possible distraction at my fingertips. I basically airlifted my brain out of the discomfort that I couldn't otherwise escape. Suddenly, I was afraid to feel. Afraid to be sad without a way out, afraid to fall in love again, afraid to even be excited about anything because I knew the inevitable crash of dopamine levels would lead me back to a baseline of despair. So, in an act of survival, I trained myself to stop feeling. I'm sharing this very personal story of mine because while it feels embarrassing, I'm pretty sure it's relatable. I've heard a lot of people talk about how the last few years feel like a blur. I think many of us have been dissociating on and off through this time, or at the very least, distracting from discomfort and spacing out. According to Dr. Pavan Madden, a board-certified psychiatrist based in California, the more new experiences we have, the longer time feels. Also, he says, the more emotion a situation generates, the more we remember it. So if we're dissociating or distracting ourselves from uncomfortable emotions, we are essentially reducing the landmarks of time stored into our memory, which skews the perception of time. Even now, many of us still work from home, we travel and socialize less, we go to restaurants, movie theaters, and grocery stores less. We've gotten used to ordering and watching absolutely everything online, and we spend way too much time at home on Instagram and TikTok. And so we feel less. My CAMINO in 2022 saved me. It broke all the destructive habits I had built throughout the pandemic and forced me to confront my feelings again. At the same time, it reminded me of all the simple, beautiful, real-life things that make life worth living. It felt like a year's worth of life in just 5 weeks. This is why I wanted to do it again last year with my mom, and also why I've become obsessed with documenting everything again like I did when I was younger. I finally feel like I'm getting back to myself. In an attempt to expand my sense of time, I'm committing to being present again, to spending more time with friends, to doing new things as often as possible, and to feeling everything, good and bad. We're only 3 weeks in, but 2024 has felt so different and good already. I've already had so many dinners with friends. I've gone on long walks in different neighborhoods. I've gone to new restaurants and cafes. I went ice skating for the first time in 5 years. I dropped everything to go play in the snow. And when something happened that hurt me and made me sad, rather than distract myself, I sat down at my kitchen table and cried. This sounds a bit silly in retrospect, but it really is amazing how much can happen in a short amount of time when you're just totally devoted to being present. My main goal this year is to get back to that younger, semi-delusional, emotionally attuned version of myself who felt like life was a fun roller coaster rather than one long dumpster fire. I want to lean into the ups and downs rather than distract from them, to break everything into small, manageable steps so I don't get too overwhelmed and shut down, and to mark the days with actions and emotions so that I don't forget. Even though I'm sick right now and broke right now and really nervous about the future still, my overwhelming feeling is just gratitude for what I have and excitement for what I get to work toward and faith that everything will be okay, because I know that in this moment I have everything that I need.